So yeah, obviously today going to be talking a little bit about navigating influencer marketing in B2B specifically. So I'll get kick-started with the first question. First, just a simple one. So can you explain what influencer marketing is and how it works in B2B?
Sure. So I'm just gonna. Okay, you can hear me. I'm just gonna introduce myself really quickly again. I'm Nicole Ponce, and I'm the influencer marketing team lead over at SEMrush. I'm not sure if the question was for me or for Tiffany.
For anyone, go for it. I'll let you answer that one.
Okay, sure. So on just to like jump off really fast, then I'll give Tiffany also some time to piggyback on the question. But for me, influencer marketing has developed a lot throughout time. Right now, I believe it's more about contributions and collaborations with experts in specific fields. That way, you can create a campaign together. I think previously, influencer marketing was more of this person has a huge audience, and then they can potentially give an extra reach to our goal of our visibility of the specific campaign. But now it's definitely taken a turn. So not sure what Tiffany thinks, but I can definitely add more details on that afterwards.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So, originally, so for those of you who don't know, an influencer is people who go on things like Twitch and stream and TikTok and all those sort of channels and they give advice to their following. And I think originally, as you said, it just started off as kind of like you would send products to influencers, they would use their products, and then their following would have a look at that and then they would hopefully come to you. But I think it's kind of gone a little bit more than that. Whereas what you tend to do is you tend to collab with certain influencers now. So they almost become like an ambassador for your brand, which is kind of like where I think it's kind of moving to now.
Perfect, brilliant. I think that summed it up really nicely by the both of you. So, the next question that we've got is what are some of the challenges in navigating influencer marketing in B2B?
I think one of the biggest challenges out there is there's a lot of influencers and there's a lot of influencers doing different things. And I think the biggest challenge is you need to find the right one for you. Because if you do choose like an influencer to be, say, for example, an ambassador of your brand, then almost they kind of become almost connected to you. So then if they then make a mistake or they then do something that they shouldn't do, and we're kind of in that very kind of council culture right now where that can have serious reprimandation, serious things for your brand, you need to make sure that you're choosing the right influencer. So when it comes to kind of doing that, you need to, I think, if you're going to choose an influencer to become your ambassador, you need to do your research, watch a bunch of their videos, and make sure that they stand for the same stuff that you stand for. Also try and choose influencers that actually know about your business. So say, for example, because you get different influencers who do different things. If you're a beauty brand, you might want to choose an influencer that knows about beauty products.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's in line with kind of what their following is as well. If they're an influencer that's all of their following's to do with beauty, for example, and your product's a tech product, then even if they do, show that off on their profile, the likelihood is they're not going to have too many people that are interested in the product. So it's important to see kind of what their following is enjoying as well to make sure that they're going to be the right kind of influencer to actually help you make sales. But yeah.
I would love to also add, which I 100% agree with everything that Tiffany was mentioning, but on top of that, the audience insight. So really understanding what the audience that you're trying to target. So I see it like an influencer now as a collaboration is just a middle channel in order to attire or kind of connect with the audience that you're trying to connect to at the end. So specifically speaking, I see now influencers kind of like community leaders, and those that not just have a huge following, because following for us, at least for our brand or just in general, the way I see it, doesn't really have a lot of weight anymore. It's more of engagement, communication, community like feel. So meaning that this influencer really has an impact in their word, and they're taking the time to just amplify their community for and good reasons, right? Not just like I'm posting just to post and it's just visibility. Because at the end of the day, specifically with B2B, I think we have a big challenge in between that. I mean, B2C is a little bit easier because maybe just showing the attraction phase is enough, but B2B, you really have to show how much value your product is given within a lot of different amplifications of content. Of you really need this tool, right? Or sometimes it's too, for someone that's a first time user, it's hard to understand, okay, but what pain point is this tool solving, unless I really know about the brand in general. So really focusing on that aspect of they can kind of, as Tiffany was saying, know your brand really well, that they can communicate it to every type of level in order to make it more visible and amplify it to specific communities. So those are two extra things that I would add as well.
For sure. I think that leads us on nicely to the next question as well, which is how can B2B companies identify the right influencers for their brand?
Well, I think the first thing is you want to do is you kind of want to see what you kind of set out what your goals are, because that's going to have kind of like a big idea of what influence you're going to do. So you kind of want to set out what your goals are, and then I think what you want to do is try and find the right influencers that are going to do that goals. Say for example, I'm going to use like the beauty products kind of thing because it's just the easiest one to resonate with, because there's so many out there. But if you like beauty products, you want to make sure that you're getting influencers that know how to use their products and know how to do that sort of thing, like we said, so that they can answer in-depth questions. Say, for example, if it was like beauty products into a shop or, that sort of thing, or say, for example, on B2B, if it's, say, for example, I'm just trying to think of examples, sorry. Yeah, so say for example you want to sell a software, because I know there's a lot of softwares out there that are B2B. You want to make sure that what influencers you use is going to be able to answer any kind of questions about that, because they will get a lot of questions about it. And I think, yeah, you want to find the best one that kind of is going to be able to do with that. So for example, if you are selling a software, there's no good doing using an influencer that only does, like the beauty products, or the kind of skits that you get on there, and then you really want to make sure that whatever influence you're using, they kind of emulate what your brand is about. So you need to make sure, like I said previously, that whatever influence you use, they are what your brand is about and what you want to achieve, and they're not going to go and contradict that in their kind of their space.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Tiffany pretty much covered pretty much everything. So thanks, Tiffany. But yeah, I 100% agree with that. And then on top of that, I would also focus on really diving deep into the understanding what goal your campaign is trying to lead to. So the type of audience that you're trying to attain, it being, for example, someone that is at the beginning stage of trying to understand your brand, if it's a little bit something more technical. So maybe an influencer that I'm talking just on behalf of SEMrush. So we really focus on that aspect of, is this influencer talking to beginning stage marketers, or is this person talking about more middle level marketers, or even more above that, right? So I think really diving deep, and I even have conversations with influencers and let them know, hey, this is what we're working on. Is this something that even aligns with your type of content? Because sometimes I see brands that they just see someone that has a great following, they have a lot of engagement, and their audience or even their content has zero match with the brand's concept and content focus. So it just doesn't align well, and it doesn't flow. It looks very kind of like a posted ad. So I would really focus on really speaking to the influencer also, and identifying that your brand really also connects with them. It's a two-way street now. It's not just a, let's just put an ad placement of our X product and then it will be amplified. It doesn't work like that anymore.
Definitely agree. Perfect. What are some of the most common mistakes that B2B companies make when engaging in influencer marketing?
I would say not having goals set out and not having a correct plan. At the end of the day, influencer marketing is the same as every other marketing channel. You need to have a plan with what you want to achieve. You need to make sure you choose the right influencer for you. Um, Make sure that the influencer you're using has sufficient knowledge on your products. Don't focus on sales too much because influencer marketing might not necessarily bring in a lot of sales. They're more about engagement. So making sure that you're focusing on the right kind of metrics there and you're measuring the right metrics. And I think the biggest thing is leaving room for creativity. And I think this is the biggest thing where companies have problems because sometimes when you know your brand and you love your brand, you have this clear direction of where you want to go. But influencers are in themselves content creators. So what you really want to do is you want to be taking on their creativity on board and making sure you're collabing with them and not kind of working against them and saying this is what we want to do and be really strict with it. There needs to be like that open conversation and you need to have a good relationship with them because they are content creators.
Plus 100 on that aspect, specifically because they also know their audience better than we do, and progressively they know how to connect with them in a specific way that they can manage the communication. So I definitely agree with that, Tiffany. I would also add, not I see sometimes a lot of companies try to focus on various different channels at once with their communication for influencers, and sometimes one campaign does best if it's a video format, let's say on YouTube Shorts and TikTok, and they want to repurpose that into different channels. If you're just starting out, sometimes that doesn't really work well. So I would say really focus on the channels that you are focusing on as well and aligning that. And also don't be shy afterwards. You set plan to also try to tap into different channels. LinkedIn is doing really, really well right now. I've done organic campaigns on there that have actually performed better than paid ads, and our paid team is in shock that the actual results are like that. So yeah, I would do a little bit of extra discovery as well, like what's out there.
Brilliant. Perfect. So the next question we've got then is, can you provide some examples of successful B2B influencer marketing campaigns?
I guess I would tap on in, just mentioned it like not so long ago. So the way that we work with our influencers is very, mm, I think I would say specific because we have a tool, a SaaS platform. So of course it's not something that you just buy and you just use just a one time off, being like a beauty product. So it's a tool that you really need to learn. And our community is very specific. They're either a marketer, they work at an agency, or they work as a solo entrepreneur, or they work at a big company. We've done a bunch of brand campaigns, and organically means for us that we give access to the tool to a couple of leaders that are in this industry for free, and they use the tool as they please. So we created a campaign which was a holiday calendar, which we activated a couple of app activations, and like I was mentioning before, a couple of influencers were just talking about different workflows, how to amplify the usage of your marketing campaigns or use workflows and future plans with that usage of these new apps. And the results, because the voice of these leaders are already educational and like thought leaders in the community, let's say, was louder than our paid ads. And my conclusion here is that people want to learn from people. They don't want to just be marketed, you need this. We need a little bit extra info of, why do I really need this? What is it? What pain point are you actually solving me? How are you helping me in my workflow, et cetera, et cetera? So these influencers already have this voice and thought leadership already attributed to their communities. So I would say that's kind of one example that we did really well recently. Yeah.
Perfect. That's brilliant. And can you give, so when somebody's kind of starting influencer marketing, and they're looking to kind of what channel is going to work best for them. Can you give kind of a bit of an idea of what the best process is to go down to understand the right channel for them?
Go ahead, Tiffany. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think, again, it's making sure you've got those goals set out, but you really need to try and figure out, like, kind of like what your audience you've got. So, if you've already been doing advertising, which I assume you probably have been, you've already got a good idea of where your audience sits, and where your campaigns are most kind of successful. So it was always a good idea to try and start there. But again, it also depends on what kind of audiences you want to hit, because you need to pick the right channel based on, so for example, if you're going to be looking at, you want to target certain industries, right, then the kind of channel for you would be LinkedIn, and stuff like that. So you kind of want to first identify what it is you want to achieve, and that will give you a good idea of what channel would be best for that. But you also have to be very versatile, because you might think something's going to work and it might actually not. So you might have to quickly be able to plan to switch channels. You also want to try and base your channel as well on where their audience is, if you kind of want to utilize their audience as well.
Definitely, for sure.
I 100% agree with what Tiffany mentioned. Nothing else to add here.
Okay, perfect, brilliant. So the next question we've got is, how can B2B companies ensure that their influencer marketing campaigns align with their overall marketing strategy?
I love this question because a lot of companies sometimes don't align their influencer marketing with their brand marketing campaign and their teams or paid marketing campaign teams as well. So I would focus on really having a huge upper level messaging of a campaign, and then within that huge messaging campaign, which I assume some companies do like this, have attribution channels, and influencer marketing being one of those attribution channels. I also do agree that influencer marketing can be something that you can use generically just to expand brand awareness, but I think it has so much more potential in it being an attribution channel that can potentially bring more, it being first payments, more trials, more usage, etc. So I would think of it in that aspect. So always make sure that you're aligned with your other teams, and where else you can help. And then also have your internal influencer marketing strategy where you can help and just potentially be the beginning stage of brand awareness, but then also attribute to as an attribution channel for other campaigns. I don't know if Tiffany had anything else to add here.
Yeah, I completely agree with Nicole there. I think one thing that people don't tend to do anymore, and I think it's something that we've lost when we kind of gone to that digital space, is we need to remember that, we're telling a story. We're in a day and age where it's so easy to just go set up a business. Like, I could just go set up my own agency tomorrow. Like, I could, and I'll just be competing with everyone. It's that kind of day and age where everyone's offering the same services for the same kind of prices. So what you really need to do is you really need to start bringing in things that are different. So, what you really want to start doing is really showing how you're going to set up that story. And I'm a big fan of, doing storyboards. What messages do you want to get over to people? What can you offer people that other competitors don't offer, and how can you bring that, and how can you tell that story? And you really just, like Nicole says, you want to use influencers just like another channel of getting that story out there. So you really want to add them in, and again, make sure that all the channels are supporting it, because I think sometimes the biggest mistake that we do in just marketing overall is we tend to just isolate each channel as if they're a different channel, but really what they should all be doing is they should all be supporting each other. I always say, like, every channel has its use, and every channel supports each other.
Spot on. No, definitely, completely agree with that. The next question that we've got then is, what is the future of influencer marketing in the B2B space?
I absolutely love this question because I don't think it's just within the B2B space, but potentially the way that influencer marketing is expanding is right now we're seeing the change. And also, in a different conversation that I had with someone else, which made a lot of sense, is we're kind of going back to with the aspect of de-influencing, kind of like what influencer marketing was in 2016, kind of like bloggers really talking about it's not about what is beautiful and perfect, but what is real. So that is happening all over again. And these influencers are creating communities that they can amplify and grow. And wherever, what channel they amplify afterwards, they will kind of follow with them. Meaning that potentially all these influencers are, and we've seen it already with Emma Chamberlain and a couple of others, that now since they have a following at all times, a huge community that will support them in every matters, now they become business owners. They start and launch either their coffee brand or their clothing line, and now they're just continuing their story but at a different stage. So I think influencers that now are building communities will potentially be like the next either CMOs, business owners, entrepreneurs, etc., and then they'll talk about how to build their own brand. So we'll see like the spike of new business owners based off influencers, which I already see it happening now. But potentially, maybe, I don't know, they already see how much they have been using tools more than we have. So I would not be surprised if they start building out new tools on their own as well in that aspect.
Really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think the way that influencer marketing is going to go is I do agree with Nicole there. I think a lot of influencer marketers are going to start doing their own tools and stuff like that because, I think a lot of people think their job is really easy. Like, I don't think people see how difficult it is and all the things that they do. But if you think about it, influencers know about marketing because that's what they do. They market themselves, and they help market products, but they also know about content creating because that's what they do. They're constantly coming up with new creations, and obviously they even can do video editing because a lot of the time they edit their own videos. So there's really like a lot of work and skills that goes into influencer marketing. So I can definitely see them doing that. But I think also there will be the influencers that will continue to kind of help you sell your products and stuff like that. But I think it will come to a time where it would kind of be there'd be more like business partners than just salespeople, in the way that they'll probably be more involved in your business, and kind of help on that point, because that's kind of what they do. They're already kind of like ambassadors, and you're kind of working with them. But it would definitely be interesting to see where it goes as well.
Brilliant stuff. So the last question that we've got then is, what advice would you give to B2B companies looking to start an influencer marketing campaign?
I can jump here. Well, I think before even starting anything, focus and understand why you want to start influencer marketing. Like, what is your goal here? Is it because you want to have more brand awareness? Is it because you want to tap into a new community that you have no reach to? So these influencers are kind of like the driving force for that. And after you have an understanding and vision of what your end goal is, then you can amplify and understand what channels work best in order to achieve this goal, meaning that these influencers are already in these channels and that it aligns with your goals and also your vision and also your brand alignment, in order to achieve X in the long run. And I would also say that right now, influencer marketing, I feel like a lot of people were just used to the fact that it was just a one-time deal because we were in either Instagram or even when we saw the rise of TikTok, that results and numbers just skyrocketed within like a month or two. Now things are slowing down a bit more, even though I see a lot of fast results on LinkedIn. I would also say that be patient and to think about quality over quantity above anything, because that quality work, and goal setting will definitely give you a long-term goal effect than just a short-term, I don't know, of reach of 1,000, 100, or 100,000 views or anything like that. So that's what I would say.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I would also add on, make sure that you choose your influencer very, very carefully. Because influencers are, because they have such a big following, they also see a lot of scrutiny. So you really need to make sure that the influencer you use, do your research, watch previous videos, and just make sure that they do kind of sit in what you as a bit, because every business will kind of have like their kind of like brand and what they want to achieve that they kind of say socially. Like, say for example, if you're a B2B business that's all about, recycling and that sort of thing, you want to make sure that you're not using an influencer that's actually posting a lot of videos about, like how recycling isn't needed and all that sort of stuff. So you need to make sure that whatever influencer you use, they emanate, what you want to be as a brand.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's especially important in kind of like a startup company as well, when you haven't already got any brand awareness, or you've not got, people don't have an idea of who the brand is, because that makes the influencers kind of what they stand for even more important, when obviously they're kind of introducing the brand to the world as such. So yeah, I think that's an extremely important point as well. But yeah, I don't know if there was anything else any of you wanted to add at all.
I think for me, we've covered pretty much everything that I had planned.
Mm-hmm. Same for
Perfect.
me. I would just again add before everything. I don't think influencer marketing is something that's going to leave. We're definitely still in the beginning stage, and it's definitely a growing market. So don't oversee it.
For sure. Perfect. Well, thank you both very much for your time then. Really appreciate it. The recording will be available soon as well. So, yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Have a good rest of the day, and we'll speak again soon.
Awesome. Thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
having me.
No problem. Cheers then. Bye bye.
Bye.